Ever wonder what pairs best with coffee? Bourbon, rum, or tequila? Well, stick around because today we're gonna find out. What's up, home bartenders? Today we're taking some rum, some bourbon, and some tequila. We're gonna infuse them with coffee, mix them with some homemade cold brew, and turn them into 3 unique homemade coffee liqueurs. If you're a coffee lover, stick around because this one's gonna be fun. Let's do it.
All right, so let's start by infusing our spirits. So 2 tablespoons of whole coffee beans in a mason jar. Follow that up with a cup of each spirit. So I'm using Wray & Nephew overproof rum for our rum. We've got some Buffalo Trace for the bourbon and some Espolòn Blanco for the tequila. All right, we're gonna seal that, and those are gonna infuse for 48 hours, 2 full days. All right, now we're gonna make some cold brew. I've got some coarse grind right here, and the recipe I like to go for is 4-to-1, 1 part of our coffee grounds to 4 parts water by volume, not weight. That's very important. Okay, so I'm filling a nut milk bag with my coffee grounds, and then 4 parts of fresh cold water. Fills up my mason jar. Okay, we're gonna seal that up, and that's gonna go in the fridge for also 48 hours. Okay, so speed forward 2 days, and here we are with our cold brew and our infused spirits. So first thing I want to do is open up, get rid of that giant tea bag, coffee bag thing. And we are going to strain a second time through a coffee filter because some of the coffee grinds kind of got out of the bag. So pass that through a coffee filter and a funnel into a large container.
Well, I'm glad we use this nut milk bag because this straining is taking a long time. And if this was just loose grains in there, it'd be taking even longer. So we're gonna put this aside until that finishes. And let's check out our 3 infused spirits. All right, now we got our rum, our bourbon, our tequila infused for 48 hours with the coffee beans. As you can see, the color on especially the rum and tequila, it's gotten a lot of color from the coffee. Obviously the bourbon was already brown, so it's darkened, but not too much of a color change there. Let's crack these open and try them. All right. Oh, that smells nice. I mean, that's the Wray & Nephew. That's gonna be the higher ABV. We'll see whether or not I wanna add a little more syrup to this one than I do to these, because that will be a higher ABV in the end. But it still has that kick of the Wray & Nephew, a little bit of that funk. The rum flavor's there, but then it has a nice coffee note, that bitter coffee note throughout. Obviously there's no sugar or anything added to it. This is just coffee infused spirit. Let's go with the bourbon. Ooh. The bourbon really brings out the sweetness in the coffee. That's interesting. Maybe it's because this one is high ABV that I wasn't picking up too much sweetness on the rum, but in the bourbon, that coffee, there's a sweetness undertone there. Very interesting. Tequila, this is interesting. I've done both of these before. My original coffee liqueur was done with this rum, and I've never done a coffee liqueur with bourbon, but I've infused bourbon with coffee before. So with this one, tequila, I've never done. Ooh, I like that. That's really good. It's very mellow. The coffee mellows the tequila. A lot of the tequila characteristics I find are kind of muted, and this coffee comes in. It's not as sweet as the bourbon, but it's really nice. That's all 3 of these are good. Now you could just pull the beans out because we did leave them whole, but you might get a little sediment falling off of the beans. So what I'm going to do is strain them through a coffee filter, these containers here, where we can then add our cold brew and our syrup to make our final liqueur.
All right, so we're straining out our spirits. This went a lot faster than the coffee because they're basically whole beans, so it's strained out in seconds.
All right, we got our 3 infused spirits fully strained. We've got our cold brew strain. Let's give it a quick taste just to see what we're dealing with. Really strong coffee aroma. I don't usually drink cold brew, just cold like this, but that's a nice coffee flavor. All right, so we have a cup each of our infused spirits. We're gonna add about a cup of cold brew. So about 1-to-1 between the cold brew and the spirit. And then we want about a 1/4 cup of demerara syrup. I pre-made demerara syrup. I have a recipe for demerara syrup. It's very simple, 2-to-1, 2 parts demerara sugar, 1 part water. Mix it on the stove. You can't do this one just in a jar. You gotta heat it up to really melt those crystals of demerara, but melt it down, you've got yourself some sugar. Great for making cocktails, great for making liqueurs. So let's do it.
So while I'm pouring in a cup of cold brew into each of these, guys, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, hit that little bell so you're notified when we release new content. All right.
Look at that, just enough. 1/4 cup of demerara, and then we're gonna taste and adjust. You can go more if you like a sweeter coffee liqueur. You can go less if you want an ultra dry Mr. Black style coffee liqueur. All right, let's taste test our liqueurs, starting with the rum. I've actually made this exact liqueur before. My original coffee liqueur recipe from a couple years ago was exactly this. So I know what this tastes like. Strong coffee aroma on the nose, but also a little bit of that Jamaican rum funk from the Wray Nephew. Just the right amount of sweetness. This is nowhere near as sweet as like Kahlua, Tia Maria, those styles, but it does have that nice hint of sweetness to carry it on. I can't compare it to Mr. Black because we don't get Mr. Black in Canada, so I don't know. I've been told that one's incredibly dry. This is quite dry, but there is that nice sweet balance, as I would call it. This is not a sweet liqueur, but it's a balanced liqueur. This is also high ABV because we used Wray Nephew. We're probably sitting somewhere around 30 to 35%, whereas these will be more in the 20 to 25% range. The bourbon. So coffee, but then, oh yeah, unmistakably bourbon, that kind of sweet, whiskey, oaky aroma. That's really enjoyable. Definitely noticing less of a bite than this one because of that lower ABV. Really good coffee flavor. This one comes off a little sweeter. Again, still no Kahlua, but it does come off a little sweeter. That's very enjoyable. The tequila. This one's got less of a nose than these two. This one was like distinctively whiskey bourbon on the nose. This one, that Jamaican rum funk. I'm not picking up much on the nose. I am sick right now. My sense of smell is slightly compromised, so, but I'm not picking up much. The tequila is definitely, of the three, the tequila is the more mild, which I'm surprised. I was expecting kind of the opposite, for the tequila to really just punch through, but it's really mellowed. There's definitely an additional flavor there that, you know, if this was just made with vodka, that you would not get. So, I mean, there is a bit of that agave that makes its way through that distinctive tequila flavor, but it's not super obvious. This is definitely the most mellow of the three. I am happy with the level of sweetness in these. This one is definitely a little drier, basically because we have that higher ABV, but these two are still very nice. Let's bottle. All right, guys, I was expecting to kind of rate these, but they're all really good and very similar. If I had to choose my favorite, I would probably give it to the bourbon based. I think that the bourbon just works really well with the coffee. It brings out the sweetness and kind of mellows out the flavor. It's really, really good. But the tequila and the rum are both very good also. When it comes to making cocktails, I was kind of worried that how's this going to work? You know, if I'm really used to making cocktails using a rum-based coffee liqueur, or even a vodka-based coffee liqueur that basically has no additional flavor other than coffee, are these going to be such a departure? And I was especially worried about the tequila one. But what I've noticed when tasting these is that, yes, you can tell the difference in the base. I can definitely tell there's rum, there's bourbon, there's tequila, but not much. The coffee definitely is front and center, is the star of the show. So honestly, use these in any recipe that calls for coffee liqueur. You can interchange. It'll definitely give it a slight different note, but it will not kind of ruin the drink because it really still is about the coffee. So go ahead and use this in your espresso martinis, your white Russians, your whatever your revolvers, whatever cocktails you want to make with coffee liqueur. I don't think you're going to find a huge difference depending on the base. That said, guys, what coffee liqueur cocktails do you want to see? Because obviously we're going to make some in the next few episodes. So let me know in the comments down below, what is your favorite coffee cocktail using a coffee liqueur, and which one would you use for that recipe? The rum, the bourbon, or the tequila? Guys, if you want to see all our homemade liqueurs and infusions, check out this playlist right here. We've got a whole bunch on the channel. If you want to see how to make your own spiced rum, that's another fun one. We've got a video for that right here. Otherwise, guys, we will see you in the next one. I don't have a drink to grab. We'll see you in the next one, guys. Cheers.